Tonight, take precautions.
And it could lead to some more significant symptoms, which can be heat stroke.
Heat warnings in place with another stretch of high temperatures baking southwestern Ontario. Plus, multiple tornadoes touching down in Huron County. People and property spared by the weekend twisters. And from vacant to refurbished.
People living and working downtown has always been the goal.
The historic Woodstock Hotel set for a housing flip.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the sweltering temperatures, prompting warnings across our region. The local health unit is urging people to take precautions, and community organizations are stepping up supports for the community's most vulnerable. Rita Ismail reports.
Behind the Arcade Mission in downtown London, a shaded patio and makeshift misting system are offering critical relief from the heat.
And it keeps you cool, and they give us shade. There's no other shade in the city except for trees, and without it, I don't think a lot of people would survive, to tell you the truth.
The mist may seem simple, but for those without access to air conditioning or shelter, it can be life-saving.
During heat alerts, we add an outreach team to make sure that people get water, freezies, some service outside, a bus ticket if they can get onto an air-conditioned bus. We know that that can help.
Campbell says Arcade is only funded for 4 hours of service per day, but they are operating 8 hours Monday through to Friday and 12 hours on the weekend to meet the growing demand.
Finding a place to cool down is actually harder than finding a place to warm up. And so much like our winter planning, we look to find ways to get people indoors, give them an opportunity to rest, make sure that they have proper nourishment. We are working with our partners to make sure there's an everyday location for lunch and dinner and breakfast, and we really try to just take those basic needs one by one, having a shower, having access to running water, a bathroom.
As temperatures climb above 30 degrees with humidex values pushing into the 40s, Environment Canada has extended the heat warning through Tuesday. The Middlesex London Health Unit says the combination of high daytime temperatures and warm, humid nights pose a serious risk.
We start with symptoms such as sweating, just some general fatigue and cramps and stuff like that. And then it could lead to some more significant symptoms, which can be heat stroke, which is a medical emergency.
Health officials are urging people to take it easy, stay hydrated, and check in on vulnerable neighbors.
You want to make sure that you check on family and friends, particularly folks that are elderly and may not have air conditioning, because the indoor heat can be a significant concern too.
Environment Canada says the hottest conditions are expected Monday, with a break in the weather likely by Wednesday. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
And with the heat alert in effect, there are several cooling stations available around the city. They include the East Lyons Community Centre, the North London Optimist Community Centre, the YMCA and Library on Southdale Road West, and the South London Community Centre, as well as the Central Public Library branch, and they're all open until 9 p.m. tonight. The extreme heat buckled Highway 402, forcing a lengthy closure this afternoon. There's heaving pavement in the eastbound lanes near Waterworks Side Road. Lambton OPP are detouring traffic between Airport Road and Mondawmin Road. They say a lengthy closure is expected until the Transportation Ministry can make repairs. And this spot is only a short distance from where the highway buckled under extreme heat last month. Researchers with the Western Tornadoes Project have confirmed 3 twisters struck near Goderich on Saturday. The first formed over Lake Huron based on numerous photos and video. Several viewer videos were sent in to us showing the tornadoes touching down between Goderich and Clinton. There are no reports of any injuries or major property damage, so the storm was assigned an EF0 status. A marine tornado warning was issued along Lake Huron's shoreline, centered around Goderich. The funnel clouds were spotted inland shortly after. Meanwhile, a storm that ripped through Mitchell last Thursday has been deemed an EF1 downburst. There was damage to several barns, hydro poles, trees, and crops. No injuries were reported there either. There were estimated wind speeds of gusting up to 150 kilometers an hour.
Active weather once again moving through our region this evening. Good evening. We still have heat warnings widespread across most of the region, with the exception of Midwestern Ontario, and a severe thunderstorm warning in effect in through Essex County. The storms developed along those lake breezes this afternoon. We do have some storms still pushing through in and around the Chatham area. Some rainfall, as you can see. Rodney, West Lorne, Glencoe picking up some rain out of this. London will miss the storms. The probability on the very low end, but we're seeing the spillover cloud cover. Temperatures anywhere from 29 to 31. It feels like the mid 30s, close to 40 in some areas. In London, feeling like a 39. At its peak this afternoon, it felt like a 42. There is relief on the way, but not tonight or tomorrow. We'll talk about that. We are looking at a big pattern shift in the extended forecast. That means cooler and more comfortable conditions developing. Temperatures will actually dip a bit below normal. So if you've been sweating it out and not dealing well with the heat, I do have some good news to share with you. Mainly cloudy conditions, clear skies expected as we head past midnight, but watch for fog through the overnight. I'll have your local forecast details coming up in just a few minutes. Carlyle?
Thank you, Julie. Emergency responders say a 29-year-old man is fighting for his life after being pulled from Lake Huron in Sarnia. He was found unresponsive off Canatara Beach shortly after 6 p.m. last night. Fire officials say an off-duty emergency responder noticed someone struggling in the water, and they were able to pull them to shore after a short search. They say a pulse was detected and CPR was performed before the man was taken to hospital. According to Sarnia police, he's now in critical condition. There is lifeguard coverage at the beach, but only until 5 p.m. on Sundays. An entire apartment building was evacuated in Sarnia over the weekend because of a fire. The flames broke out in a basement unit on Saturday. At this point, officials have not revealed what caused the fire. They say no injuries were reported, though. Chatham-Kent officials are debating how to respond to new homeless encampment concerns.
They're very upset that, first of all, they weren't notified. There was zero consultation with the residents in that area of town. And of course, there's many businesses, too, that are affected.
A new encampment has materialized on municipal land, becoming a point of contention recently after an encampment near the river was cleared out. One councillor is proposing removing tents every day after sunrise and allowing them to return at sunset, while the mayor wants the minimum distance between tents and residences increased from 10 meters to 100.
Looking at that balance of, would anyone want an encampment 10 meters behind their house? And, just the rights of that. So that's what it's balanced on. So we're now looking at, and I'm going to get this morning as to what locations does that put them in.
A new housing project is in the works for Woodstock, bringing new life to an old building which has sat vacant for more than 3 decades. With more on the plans for the former Oxford Hotel, here's Lauren Stallone.
It was once an iconic hotel.
Be careful of the rubbish.
Now located in downtown Woodstock, the Oxford Hotel is getting a sweet new upgrade.
We're expecting 5 commercial units on the main level, focused on business professional. On top of that, we're expecting 22 residential on the upper 2 floors with an additional 6 in the basement eventually, so 28 residential.
The restoration project is aimed at providing affordable housing in the city's downtown core, while making sure the building's history never checks out.
Oxford Hotel is hundreds of years old. It has been vacant for over 30 years.
One of the best things we found was this wall behind me. So although it looks like log cabin within the wall, that's actually concrete structure. So the building was built by the O'Neill family, originally called the O'Neill House. They were Tip O'Neill's parents. So Tip O'Neill was the founder of Major League Baseball, and they specifically concreted up this wall behind us in the lobby of the old hotel for him to practice his curveball.
With the city's population rapidly growing, Mayor Jerry Achone says this is a great opportunity to open the doors to everything downtown Woodstock has to offer.
People living and working downtown has always been the goal. Having more affordable units for people to move into and live downtown is essentially what we've been after.
Achone says the project comes at a good time for Woodstock.
noting the city is in the middle of a $51 million streetscape project.
Just finishing up first phase of streetscape, and this ties it in so well. Trying to intensify, do a lot more of what we have here in the city.
Developers say they're expecting to have the commercial units occupied by the end of 2025 and people living in the former hotel by next summer. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Municipal officials in Chatham say they've identified an abandoned water well in Wheatley as the source of gas odors from last month. An evacuation order had been issued for properties nearby as crews investigated where the smell was coming from and whether it posed any substantial risk to the community. Officials say construction equipment was moving into the site today and the work will begin tomorrow. They say that should take about 7 to 10 days.
We are going to excavate to locate the old water well, and that'll begin on Tuesday. Once we find the water well, we will extend it to surface in order to properly abandon it.
The Home County Music and Art Festival returned this weekend, bringing a full day of performances back to Victoria Park after a one-year hiatus. Brent Lale reports.
Music fans packed Victoria Park, thrilled about the return of the Home County Festival.
That's what it is, Victoria Park, Home County. They're inseparable.
Bev Camp, the dancing cowboy, is a fixture at London music events.
That's the life of the city. I'm so glad to get it back even for a day, and let's hope it stirs and keeps going. Look at all the people here from all over.
After pausing the event 2 years ago due to financial constraints, the Home County Folk League brought it back for the 49th annual. This time, it was a one-day event, and patrons responded.
It's a testament to Londoners' love of Home County.
In a normal year, they'd have 5 stages going during the day, so there's a broad spectrum of music. This year, they didn't have that luxury.
We had to be very meticulous about who we put on the stage so that we wanted something that's going to appeal to a broader audience, and I think we've done a great job of the lineup.
That lineup included London's own Leanne Mayer as the opening act. The singer-songwriter last played the festival in 2019.
It's an honor to be included in the lineup, especially in a shortened group. I've been lucky to get a lot of support from London. Home County is London's gem. Everybody loves Home County, all the indie musicians, so it means the world to me to be included.
This year, organizers asked for cash donations or hope that patrons would spend money with vendors. They'll assess their future after the event.
We're looking ahead with our fingers crossed, or cautious optimism, but I think we're going to have a full year now. If we go into September, which will be our new fiscal year, if we're talking about a 3-day festival for next year, we've got 11 months to put it together.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Coming up, the European Union strikes a trade deal with the Americans, but as the deadline approaches for Canada, a deal with us seems less and less likely. Plus, new data shows auto thefts in decline, but sheds new light on how thieves are getting around enhanced security features.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvlondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. There are just days left for Canada to reach a new trade agreement with the United States before President Donald Trump's August 1st deadline. As things stand, Canada could be hit with tariffs as high as 50%. With the latest, here's Abigail Beeman.
Canada's Prime Minister and the American President were both visiting islands and talking trade. Donald Trump in Scotland musing about baseline world tariffs.
I just want to be nice. I would say in the range of 15 to 20%.
The negotiations are at an intense phase. It's a complex negotiation.
While on Prince Edward Island, Mark Carney repeated in French that a deal with no tariffs is unlikely.
We're standing up for Canada, Canadian interests. Of course, the United States is looking out, the President's looking out for the interests of American workers. There is a landing zone that's possible, but we have to get there.
There appears to be a backing away from the tariff for tariff, elbows up
sort of combative tone.
Former Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay feels we may not get the kind of deal we want.
Donald Trump has really had his way with many countries, and they are coming to heel and rolling around like kittens on a couch.
While Ontario's premier still hopes Canada is treated differently.
A tariff on Canadians is a tax on Americans. Prices will go up.
It's not the kind of recession-inducing shock that 25% on literally everything would have been.
This University of Calgary economist says a 15% baseline tariff on non-CUSMA compliant goods would still be a net negative for the Canadian economy. But it's important to focus on the bigger picture, what happens with CUSMA down the line.
That's a much more important potential shock to the economy than a 15% baseline with an exemption for trade agreement compliant exports.
Trump's trade deal deadline is Friday, with the Prime Minister saying Canada is still engaged in negotiations. Mark Carney stressing Canada is also already a big investor in the United States as we watch other countries sign deals that require major financial commitments. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
One of London's oldest and largest property owners is getting out of the retirement home business. CTV News has learned Siftton Properties is selling off assets throughout southwestern Ontario. Brian Bicknell has more on the deal worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Siftton says it's selling off its 6 retirement communities in southwestern Ontario. In a statement to CTV News, the company says it made this strategic decision to transition out of the retirement living sector and divest our portfolio in this industry. This will allow Siftton to refocus on growth across other platforms. The properties include Riverstone, Richmond Woods and Longworth, all in London, along with Dorchester Terrace in Dorchester, West Hill in Waterloo, and Erinview in Mississauga. Chartwell Retirement Residences, which already has a presence in this region, is acquiring the 6 properties with more than 1,000 suites for a total purchase price of $432 million.
We think that we know how to operate retirement residences, and we try to expand the footprint that we have across the country. Our strategy is to acquire residences that are more efficient, newer, larger, located in great growing markets. And this portfolio certainly fits that description.
According to Stats Canada, seniors made up 1/5 of the population in 2023. By 2030, that number will swell to almost a quarter. Gloria McKibben is the chairperson of the London St. Thomas chapter of the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, and she worked in the retirement home sector for 30 years. She says both companies have great reputations, but adds that this region needs more seniors housing, especially affordable options.
Not every person who's a pensioner gets a private pension. There's a lot of them that get the old age security, the Canada pension, and a lot of them are getting additional assistance and gains because they just don't have a lot. In fact, a lot of people can't even get into a regular apartment building nowadays just because the rents are very, very high.
Chartwell says it does not anticipate any staffing changes during the transition. The deal is expected to be finalized later this year once regulatory approvals have been given. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
A new report on Canadian vehicle theft says there's been a sharp decrease in stolen cars lately. However, it also cautions drivers not to let their guard down. John Venevali-Rao explains why.
Despite the improving numbers, on average nationwide, a vehicle is stolen every 10 minutes.
It's all a big shock, to be honest. I kind of feel violated.
Ryan Tostick of Milton, Ontario, is filling out insurance forms after his beloved 2004 Chevy Silverado was swiped from a repair shop just over a week ago. The thief was caught on surveillance cameras. Tostick says his truck had a new engine and says he'd never had anything stolen from him in his life.
Just, crazy to see what kind of value just is gone within minutes.
But compared to the same period in 2024, in the first half of this year, auto thefts were down 19% nationally, plunging almost 26% in Ontario, while Western and Atlantic Canada saw 9% declines.
I do caution that even though the numbers are still going down, they're still high, and it doesn't mean that we need to take our foot off the gas.
The report says better public awareness and collaborative efforts by governments and law enforcement agencies appear to be making a difference, noting during the pandemic auto thefts rose when the supply chain for new cars was disrupted, peaking in the first half of 2023 at 34,000 and declining ever since. Still, experts note there's been a shift towards stolen vehicles being sent to chop shops.
What's old is new again. Chop shops are having a surgence where they're stealing vehicles and selling it part by part, not only domestically but internationally.
According to the report, more stolen vehicles are being found. 56% were recovered in the first half of this year versus 53% last year.
Personally, I'd like to have the vehicle back. I'm not hopeful, but I'm trying to be hopeful.
And if you're wondering if insurance rates might come down because of fewer thefts, the Insurance Bureau of Canada says thefts still remain above historical levels, adding repair and vehicle replacement costs have also been on the rise. John Vanavelli-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Hundreds of cyclists hit the road this weekend, biking from Grand Bend to London and back, supporting MS research in Canada. As Brent Lail reports, it's one of the largest fundraisers of its kind in Canada, bringing in millions of dollars over the last 4 decades.
Simply incredible!
As riders approach the finish line of the MS bike ride, Callie Murray is there cheering them on. Living with MS, this is her first year unable to do the Grand Bend to London trip with her teammates.
Chronic fatigue is one of my biggest symptoms. Word recall, obviously I'm having a hard time finding words right now, but could be anything.
Her group, the Nervous Rex, was one of the teams making the 150-kilometer ride. Their contribution was part of the $725,000 raised for the neurological diseased.
I was diagnosed 10 years ago, so this MS is obviously very close to my heart. This year's pretty emotional because I'm not able to ride.
I started with the St. Thomas Fire Department a few years back. Met one of the guys that I work with, his wife Callie, who I just spoke with. She has MS, and just started getting into road biking, and they were talking about wanting to do the ride, and I was all for it. Obviously a great cause, and Callie's amazing.
As the cyclists finish, Jane Herron would celebrate and say thank you. She volunteers in memory of her sister.
She had progressive MS, and I'm doing it in her memory. She passed 30 years ago, and it devastated our family.
90,000 Canadians are living with MS, and approximately 12 people per day will be diagnosed in this country. Once again, the leading fundraiser was Barry Travanik, who brought in close to $70,000 in pledges. Taking part for all 35 years in memory of his sister, he's raised over $1.2 million for the cause.
People say, okay, what is this the last year? Is this no? I mean, as long as I'm able to cycle, 2 days of cycling is 10 times better than living with MS.
Brent Lail, CTV News.
Julie's on the desk with me now. Looked like a nice day for a bike ride over the weekend. It would have been a hot day for a bike ride today. Yes. Humid, although some clouds have rolled in, at least here in London lately.
Yeah, we have a little bit of cloud cover coming in. We do have some storms just off to the south, so it looks a bit ominous. Not expecting any rainfall, though we do really need some rain as we head to Lambton Shores and the Grand Bend area, dealing with bit of cloud cover, but also some sunshine. But a great day to be finding some cool water. I know many of you cooling down out there. Our high 32 today. Our low is 17, a couple degrees shy of a record. I mentioned needing rain. So far at the London airport, we've only received 48 millimeters of rainfall this month, and normal is about 82.7, so about half. Last year we had record-breaking July with about 165 millimeters. The pressure's at 101.7, the winds on the hour out of the south-southwest, and the temperature 27. So this little cluster of rain and thunderstorms is driving now out over the lake. We do have some action just over the thumb of Lake Huron. Most of that will dissipate in the next hour. So just dealing with a bit of cloud cover as we head to Grey and Bruce County. Full sunshine for you right now. Eventually this cold front is going to come through, and a big sprawling area of high pressure pressure will be building into the Great Lakes, but it's going to bring some cooler, drier air. So we have one more day of extreme heat. So through the day tomorrow, heat and humidity will be quite intense. But by Wednesday, you'll start to notice a change. Thursday, Friday, it'll feel cooler and drier, especially those overnight lows. As we look across the country, Calgary, 17 degrees. It's been cool in Western Canada, warming up a bit in Regina and Winnipeg, but 24 to 25. That's nice and comfortable. Northwestern Ontario, 28. Heading out to the Maritimes tonight, 26 in Halifax and 19 in St. John's. In terms of our overnight low, 19 to 20 degrees in most areas. Watch for fog through the overnight and first thing in the morning, but lots of sunshine in the forecast once again. Now, as we head into your Tuesday, there is about a 30% chance of a shower. Can't rule out a thunderstorm heading into the afternoon, and same story as we head into Wednesday. As I mentioned, looking for some rainfall at this point. We could use some good rain, but not a whole lot in the extended forecast. So Tuesday afternoon, you can see a little bit of rain toward the Bruce Peninsula and dropping towards the northern part of Grey and Bruce County. But other than that, just a few spotty showers. The showers will be quite isolated in nature. And again, as I mentioned, just a chance for a thunderstorm as we head into Wednesday. The front will cross, the temperatures will drop. But again, you have to get through tomorrow first. Daytime highs 27 to 32. Again, once it'll feel like about 40. Our metal roof outlet forecast as we head into Thursday, sunshine, Friday, sunshine, and look at the long weekend setting up. Note the daytime highs 26 to 27, overnight lows from 11 to 14. This is beautiful weather. So get through that 32 tomorrow, feeling close to 40, and then Wednesday about a 30% chance of some showers. Still great weather to be outdoors if you've held off on your vacation or you're planning some long weekend fun. If it's outdoors, it's going to be perfect. 26 to 28 degrees. We want stability in the forecast. When we see these wavy fronts move through, that's when things get tricky. But the extended forecast just looks dominated by this big area of high pressure at the surface and in the upper atmosphere. So things are going to be beautiful. Chance for showers over the next couple of days, still quite hot and humid. But by Wednesday night into Thursday, the temperatures drop off. Overnight lows comfortable, even great weather to open up the windows, which is rare heading into August, especially in this part of southern Ontario. We deal with the heat and humidity right through August, but this is going to be a nice cool down. So Carlyle getting set for some drier conditions in terms of our humidity. We're going to scour out a lot of that moisture in the extended forecast. We have lots of sunshine and just some beautiful weather moving in.
All right, Julie, thanks so much. Still ahead, consumer complaints about airlines piling up. Officials say it may take years to clear the backlog. Officials with the beer store say they're shutting down 11 more locations this fall, 4 of them in our area. Those include stores in Clinton, Norwich, Rodney, and Wingham. Each of those communities has just one beer store. However, each of them also has an LCBO. According to the beer store, retail market changes are behind the decision to close these stores. Their final day of sales will be September 28th. Air Canada flight attendants began voting on a possible strike today. Contract talks with the airline have stalled over pay issues, per diems, and pensions. According to Air Canada, a strike would not be able to take place before a 21-day cooling off period, and officials say they are committed to the bargaining process. Strike voting runs through next Tuesday. The Canadian Transportation Agency is shedding light on just how many passenger complaints are piling up against Canadian Airlines. With more on the numbers and the reasons behind the backlog, here's Sweeta Rassi.
From delays and cancellations to compensation disputes, the Canadian Transportation Agency, also known as the CTA, is drowning in complaints.
It is going to take them more than 2 years to deal with just the current backlog.
In a statement, the CTA told CTV News it has a backlog of 85,000 complaints from air passengers since the Complaints Resolution Office launched in 2023, a number that continues to grow. The founder of Air Passenger Rights says the agency's method of dealing with grievances is complicated, ultimately failing passengers.
In Canada, they have this system where the airline will say, well, it's outside our control, so we don't have to pay you anything.
Gabor Lukács says from the airline's perspective, it's easier and more profitable to refuse to pay and instead tell passengers to file a complaint through the CTA.
So the Canadian Transportation Agency
has the power to fine airlines that don't obey the law, but they're not using those powers.
The CTA says it's proposing charging airlines nearly $800 for each eligible complaint. But for some airlines, the proposal is not welcomed. Air Canada told CTV News charging that amount would not be balanced nor an equitable way of addressing the issue. And WestJet says the punitive proposal reflects a troubling disconnect between the agency and the realities of Canada's economy and aviation sector. It adds the agency's priority should be dealing with improving its administration and reduce wait times. However, the CTA says during 2024-2025, its first full fiscal year, the CRO closed over 33,600 complaints, more than ever before. It did not say how many cases were resolved in favor of the passengers. As for Lukács, he says he's taking the CTA to court due to the agency's lack of transparency.
It's not only that it takes more than 2 years and they have a huge backlog, they're also trying to gag passengers who have a case before them.
In the meantime, he says if passengers have complaints against airlines, heading over to small claims courts is the better option. CTV News reached out to Canada's Ministry of Transportation for comment on Sunday, but we did not hear back in time for broadcast. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
The Bank of Canada will reveal its next interest rate decision on Wednesday. According to economists polled by Reuters, the central bank is expected to hold its benchmark rate steady at 2.75%, citing a recent rise in inflation and a slight fall in unemployment. Analysts have also pointed to a lack of clarity around U.S. tariffs, especially with a repeatedly extended deadline to get a broader trade deal done between Canada and the U.S. Canada's main stock index fell today as gains in energy were offset by losses in metals, industrials, and utilities. The TSX is down 89 points. In New York, the Dow lost 64. The Nasdaq gained 70. The Canadian dollar down 1/10 cent today. On commodity markets, gold dropped more than $25 an ounce. Oil added $1.55 a barrel. Still to come, disguising racism as satire. The Alberta Clothing Group selling T-shirts targeting South Asian immigrants. Welcome back. A woman in the Toronto area says she's been through a frustrating ordeal trying to get her money back for a product she says she never received. As Pat Foran reports, it appears the package containing her expensive camera lens had been tampered with.
So I was completely shocked. I didn't know what to do.
Victoria Schell of Maple says her hobby is photography and she recently wanted to upgrade to a more advanced camera lens. She found one online at Canon Canada's website. The lens was part of a damaged box sale and was selling for just over $2,500. When the shipment arrived, she was shocked when she opened it up.
The box was supposed to contain a Canon EF 24-70mm lens. And instead, there was a box of Bostitch staples.
Schell contacted Canon to say what happened and sent them photos of what she received.
The lens was inspected in the facility, so by the time it left the facility, everything was intact.
Schell says while the outside box was sealed, the box for the camera lens had been opened.
There is no safety seal.
The box of staples was the same weight as what the camera lens would be. Following an investigation, Schell was told she would not be getting a refund.
I'm completely heartbroken. I'm really upset.
2 years ago, we did a similar story with the Madkin family of Brampton. They ordered a laptop and received 2 books instead.
Did you need this book?
I don't need that.
Did you need 2 of them?
No, I don't need either. So someone have opened the box and they put the books with the same weight. Looks like a MacBook.
With CTV's help, the family got a refund. CTV News also reached out to Canon Canada, and a spokesperson said the package did match the weight that would be expected for the lens model purchased. However, it appears the package may have been tampered with after departing our facility. We are currently in the process of issuing a refund to the customer for the cost of the lens. That was great news for Schell. She has now received her refund and plans to buy a new lens in person at a camera store. Pat Foran, CTV News.
A clothing company based in Alberta is being called out online for a T-shirt design mocking Tim Hortons. The people behind the design are refusing to identify themselves, claiming they're satirists, not racists. Stephanie Thomas reports.
Thank you. You have a nice day.
The cafes are iconic in Canada, and now the name Tim Hortons has been swapped out on the design of this T-shirt sold by an online company called Alberta Unchained. It says Sing Hortons, using a common South Asian name. The line below reads, now hiring Timmigrants.
Hate is hate, and it's in many different forms.
The apparel company refused an interview with CTV News and did not answer questions about who is behind the company, where they are based, or how many items with this design have been sold. Instead, it sent this statement saying, to clarify, the Sing Hortons design is a piece of satire. It is not racially motivated, nor is it intended to target any community. The executive director of Stop Hate AB says humor can be a cop-out to cover up anti-immigrant sentiment, and says the design should be called out for being hateful.
To collectively stand against hate is us actually doing an action towards ending it. Ignoring it gives it space.
Tim Hortons' hiring practices have come under fire for the company's reliance on temporary foreign workers for paying low wages and reducing opportunities in communities with high youth unemployment. Tim Hortons turned down an interview with us, instead sending a statement reading, there are over 100,000 hardworking Tim Hortons team members across the country who are members of our local communities, and they do not deserve to be exposed to such blatant racism. We will be taking swift action to hold the people behind this accountable.
There's not much that can be done within a criminal matter.
Legal experts say the design doesn't amount to a hate crime, but taking on
disgusting, prejudicial kinds of ideas is through, the cleansing light of publicity.
Stephanie Thomas, CTV News, Calgary.
Calgary police say they're looking for two men accused of assaulting an 18-year-old in an apparent case of road rage. As Mark Villani reports, the attack was captured on video and the suspects remain at large.
4th Avenue Northeast is normally a family-friendly street with a local daycare and an elementary school. But that peace was shattered around 9:30 p.m. on July 15th.
It was terrifying. Terrifying.
That's the voice of an 18-year-old who was brutally attacked in a road rage incident. CTV News is protecting his identity as well as his parents for safety reasons as police search for the two men responsible. Surveillance video shows the teen practicing parallel parking in an SUV with his mom, preparing for an upcoming road test. When a white pickup truck pulled too close, the teen admits he flipped the driver off. The truck left, but came back moments later, parking on the wrong side of the road. Two men jumped out, banged on the SUV's windows, and pulled the teen from the vehicle.
I get 1 foot out, and that's where my memory goes blank pretty much from there. Almost my entire rib cage on the left side is bruised, and my spleen is enlarged.
He was struck several times, believed to be with a crowbar. His mother tried to break it up, but he was kicked on the ground before the men took off.
I never want to relive anything like that. There's going to be people looking. They're always going to be looking now, like me. I look every day at the camera, at all the vehicles that pass by. It would be nice if they would turn themselves in.
I ran down there and I seen blood was everywhere. It infuriates me.
The man's father says he's still shaken and wants accountability.
The one guy that was in the passenger seat had full intent on causing harm. You can see him right clear as day on the camera rummaging through the back seat of his truck to grab something.
Police describe both suspects as between 5'8" and 6 feet tall. One was wearing a navy tee and black pants, the other a white tee, black pants, and a black hat. Their vehicle is a white early 2000s Chevy Silverado with something extending from the truck bed. Investigators also want to speak with the occupants of a white Ford Fusion who may have witnessed or recorded the attack.
Probably one of the scariest things I'll probably witness or be in my entire life.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
Intense heat and humidity continue into Tuesday, but by Tuesday night, we'll slowly start to see some relief from the extreme heat. Temperatures are set to dip down as we head into the weekend to more comfortable conditions. Thanks, Nancy, for this beautiful photo of a monarch from Atwood.
There's growing support among the federal Liberal Party to officially recognize a Palestinian state. Last week, the French president announced his country would do just that this fall. As Colton Prale reports, it doesn't look like Canada will follow suit, at least not yet.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister says the idea of peace in the Middle East feels more distant and that a pathway to peace requires Palestinian statehood. But Canada doesn't appear to be any closer to recognizing it.
Je vous remercie.
At a special United Nations meeting focused on a two-state solution in the Middle East, Anita Anand reinforced the country's long-standing position.
Canada believes a two-state solution remains the only viable path to lasting peace for both Palestinians and Israelis.
When asked today whether Canada would join countries like France in plans to officially recognize a Palestinian state, the Prime Minister didn't directly answer the question. It comes as the Liberal leader is facing increasing calls to do so from members of his own party.
Finally taking the critical step towards realizing a two-state solution to peace in the Middle East, recognizing a free and independent state of Palestine.
Sunday, BC MP Will Greaves joining social media calls from fellow Liberal MPs Salma Zahid and Fares Al-Soud to recognize a Palestinian state. Meanwhile, as humanitarian aid trickles back into Gaza, Donald Trump is pushing back on the Israeli assertion that starvation was not occurring in the enclave.
Food, we can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it, and you can't fake that.
The Prime Minister says Canada has trucks of aid at the Jordanian border, pre-positioned to enter Gaza, but that had been prevented from doing so. He added that he'll take steps to advance a two-state solution, but one that doesn't include any element of Hamas and Palestinian leadership. Colton Prale, CTV News, Ottawa.
President Donald Trump says he's accelerating a timeline for Russia to end its war in Ukraine.
I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
Trump has set a 50-day deadline earlier this month and has increasingly expressed frustration with Russia's continued attacks on Ukraine. The president is now threatening secondary sanctions if no deal is reached with Russia. A solemn ceremony today in Ottawa marking the 72nd anniversary of the Korean War armistice. Military veterans and their loved ones gathered for the special commemoration this morning. Among the United Nations forces, Canada sent the third most troops of any nation, more than 26,000 deployed. Since 2013, the country has marked National Korean War Veterans Day on July 27th. Toronto zoo officials say they're about to welcome in a new resident rescued in eastern Ontario earlier this month. This 2-month-old baby moose is named Cedar. It was found by an animal rescue group wandering on a rural road near Ottawa. Veterinarians determined it's actually blind and it can't be released back into the wild.
This is a really rare case where the orphan has found their way into human care and really begged the what's next question. And I think our first choice always is those animals out in the wild. In this case, though, for compassionate reasons, we have a space, and assuming everything comes together, we look forward to being that forever home for Cedar. And I got to say, I love how people are talking about local wildlife. I think people forget how rich Ontario is and what happens right here in our province.
The moose has spent the past 3 weeks at a rescue, and staff say it's making great recovery progress.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. Canadian swimmer Summer McIntosh won a second gold medal today at the World Championships in Singapore.
It's Walsh in second place. McIntosh takes another gold medal for Canada.
The 18-year-old finished first in the 200-meter individual medley, just shy of her own world record time. She's already won gold in the 400-meter freestyle and is in the running for as many as 5 golds. That would equal a record set by legendary American swimmer Michael Phelps at the 2005 Worlds. The Toronto Blue Jays are the best team in baseball right now, about to start a 4-game series in Baltimore. With more on their hot streak and the momentum building within the fan base, here's Kamil Karamali.
Blue Jays history taking place in Toronto. The Blue Jays sitting alone now atop the MLB standings, something that hasn't happened this late into the season since 1992 when the team won the World Series. And part of their success is largely due to also breaking a franchise record for their home winning streak, now set at 11 games. A vastly different result and a quick turnaround since last year. So far, the Blue Jays have more than 60 wins this season, and we're only roughly 2/3 of the way through the season. Get this, all of last season, they were only able to notch 74 wins, so already inching up to tying last season's win record with 74, now having more than 60. And the ticket prices have also been increasing. Some seats going for $30 or more last season, now going for 5 to 6 times that amount for the most recent home stretch against the New York Yankees. Bars and restaurants also benefiting from the Blue Jays fever. The bats are booming, and so is business. Business is saying bars are packed, and Blue Jays fans are having a lot of fun cheering on their team this season.
From last year, probably a good 15 to 20% better. It's been great. Like, we've seen so many more away fans come in. We've seen our pre-rushes start a lot earlier. Like, crowds are in by 2 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game.
Now, with about a third of the season left, anything can happen in the regular season, but a team can usually put themselves in a pretty good spot to make the playoffs if they're able to notch 90 or more wins. The Blue Jays now with 60-plus wins and looking like they have a lot more left in the tank. Kamil Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.